Hello and welcome to Sending Off, a podcast about women's soccer. I am your host, Emily Higginbotham. Today we're getting into NWSL. It's fully back. The season launched. So many games, a lot of goals too. And to discuss all of that, I'm joined by Tara Thobe, the host of Scuff's Boots on the Ground podcast. Tara, how are you?
I am so good. I had what I consider a life-changing croissant today, and the NWSL is back. What more do you need? Honestly.
I mean, I don't think I would need much more than a life-changing croissant to meet my set of needs.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. How did you enjoy the weekend? Well, how did you take in the games? Are you just playing on the couch? Did you have friends over?
Yeah, I watched Friday alone, just bracing
Yeah.
for the Barbara Banda show. I'm like, "Oh god, this could be 12-0. So should I consider
Mm.
it a success?" I don't know, but I watched Friday alone. I watched some of Saturday, with my niece, actually.
Oh, sweet.
Um, I set up, she FaceTimed me for the Kansas City game. She likes a few of those players. And then Sunday, I was, multitasking with work and watching Angel City
Yeah.
and, San Diego. So, it was a busy weekend, but I'm just so glad they're back. This league is insane. I feel like I saw 40 yellow cards. I know it
Oh,
wasn't 40, but I feel like that's how many I saw.
there were a lot of cards, a lot of questionable cards, but in the end, they might be able to get them reduced for good behavior. Do you think that's why it was so liberally distributed over the weekend? Because they're like, they can get these knocked off. We'll
Yeah,
just keep
we're gonna
going.
see we're gonna see what Jalen Howe does to, right that wrong of a cleat right in the face.
Oh
That
my
was the
god.
craziest thing.
Well, that is the thing. Like the fact that that was not reviewed, it was reviewed by VAR, but she wasn't sent to the monitor. The fact she wasn't sent to the monitor on that, and she was sent to the monitor for the Mandy thing, which is like fine if she's sent to the monitor, I guess. But I think you see when it's played back that it's kind of just a bang bang situation of they're both like putting their feet in that place because she slips. But like the fact that Mandy gets a red card and Jalen does not it kind of tells you all you need to know about the refereeing
It
in this league.
it was chaotic. I mean, weekend 1 was just chaotic. I had a blast, but you can't say anything else other than just a wild first weekend.
Yeah. So we will get into the weekend. We'll get into the first impressions that we have of these teams, what they showed us. But first, there was also a little bit of news that came up recently, and that is the Boston NWSL team. They're changing their name. Bos Nation FC is no more. It never really was, thank God. I thought this announcement was really funny because it reminded me of that Tim Robinson meme that was like when he's in the hot dog and he crashes his car, the hot dog car into the thing. And he's like, we're all trying to figure out the guy who did this, you know? And like Bos Nation FC is like, fans, you waited long enough. We're changing the name. I'm like, you're announcing like this as if you're like, I don't know. Like you made this the name. You went through a
Like, they're
whole
in on
process.
it.
Yeah, like they're in on
Mhm.
it. And it's like, no, you embarrassed yourself and you embarrassed the NWSL and you embarrassed Boston. It takes a lot to embarrass the people of Boston, I think.
It does.
So it's just like, what do you think? What do you have faith in them to like come up with a good name?
I like anybody who can admit to a mistake and say,
True.
"Okay, okay, we hear you. We're gonna listen." And they did that, and there is gonna be a new name, so I think that shows something to give them credit towards. But I don't know. I just Boston's been so funky so far. The stadium's gonna be a mess. It just isn't at the same level of organized, for lack of a better term, as the Denver, uh, deal
Yeah.
seems. So, I'm not going into it with high hopes at all. I do expect it to be better than Bos Nation, though.
I mean, that bar is on the floor right there. So like
Yeah,
anything like they like changed their name to Coming Soon FC. I was like, great name. Great name
yeah.
compared to Bos Nation.
I was like, "You guys are so funny." Very funny joke.
Right. Hilarious. No, I was talking to someone who lived in Boston. They were just like, "Oh yeah, the stadium situation." They're like, "That's just literally in a park.
Mhm.
It's just a field in a park. Like there's going to be stands or whatever." I'm really bracing for absolute mess. It's
Mhm.
like I don't know what did they give Commissioner Jessup Berman to get this deal over the line because it doesn't seem like it's on the up and up.
No, I don't know. My girl got a kickback somewhere. I
Yes.
mean, that's equality. If men can be sleazy presidents, so can women.
Yeah. And we're not saying we're not even alleging. We're just we're writing our own fan fiction here. Jessica Berman, I'm sure everything is in proper order. Um yeah, do you have any favorite names that have been like floated around for the Boston team or is there one on your mind?
Absolutely. There's a woman on Blue Sky, I think.
She's probably on all the
She's just
platforms
yeah, she's one of the accounts that is just, like, always
popping
on
up
my
for you.
algorithm.
Mhm.
I think her name's Katie. She threw out the name Coven
I've s-
FC,
I've seen this. I've seen this. Yes.
and now I now it can't be anything but. Uh, it's just such a great name, and it makes me laugh every single time, and I can see a Ali Sitnor, a Lily
Oh,
Real, somebody come in
wait a minute.
with Boston roots. I want the Boston girls to come
Okay,
in
I didn't
and
realize
embrace
that.
it.
I didn't realize Lily Real is from Boston. I
Yeah.
was like, you're taking my rookie away from Gotham and already planting seeds. Okay. Uh
Listen, I'm taking anybody from Massachusetts, and I want Boston to go in on it. I want them to be proud of themselves and not be the joke of the league.
yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from. Coven is too good of a name. It'd be iconic right away.
Yeah, I love it too. I love anything witchy. I think just Boston Coven, like drop the FC. We don't need the football club because like
Let's sit
Coven
in
is
America.
I feel like a club is redundant for Coven. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It's already implying a group, so we don't need that.
Yeah.
Boston Coven, if it's not that, they failed.
Agreed.
They failed. I hope we don't have to wait too long for that. But also, I guess we'll wait as long as we need for it not to be terrible.
A lesson in patience. I can agree to that.
Yeah. It is a good lesson. Okay, we'll wait patiently. In the meantime, we'll be watching the teams that are already in the NWSL that are already playing, and we got to watch them open the season this weekend. And we're gonna go through our first impressions of each team. We'll just start with the first game. We'll start with the Orlando Pride because I feel like they left maybe the biggest impression of the weekend. What did you
Yeah.
think?
Well, I mean, after the game, I was like, they're coming for it all. They're gonna be unstoppable. Everybody pack it up. Orlando's gonna do it. But I'm trying not to be too reactive because Chicago was especially terrible.
Yeah.
Chicago was especially terrible. The defense was nowhere to be seen. The midfield was nowhere to be seen. Alyssa Nair was in that phase where you're a little thankful you don't have to be worried about our national team, um, playing because she was hugging that post like classic Nair was. And don't come for me, I love Alyssa, but she was awful too. She was hung out to dry, I understand it, but Chicago as a whole, they were just very bad, and I think it would be premature to give Orlando, all of the flowers in the world just for taking advantage of a bad team.
Yes, and I will keep that in mind when Orlando comes to New Jersey this weekend and plays my Gotham team. that it's gonna be okay. Uh,
I mean, it should be a good game. I would expect even this new phase of Gotham lacking a few players that we were familiar with, newer team integrating itself, I would still expect them to be competitive with Orlando.
yes, we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah.
We'll we'll get to Gotham at some point. But yeah, Orlando, I think I sold them a little short coming into the season because I kind of thought they might have like a success hangover and not meet expectations. There are a lot of players who are like, they're not at the Bam March level. I mean, that's high, high, high. But they're working as a unit, and I think I was just thinking, can they replicate that? And I think that they might. Like, I feel like they're coming back just as good and maybe better. And also, they now have the knowledge that they can win, the Shield, that they can win the championship. And I feel like that confidence is going to get you through maybe times of like dips in form and stuff. Like, we're just like, stay the course. We know that we can do this. We have a coach who can take us there. We have the players who can take us there, and that's a scary that's a scary thing,
Yeah.
especially on top of the talent that they have.
I thought it was hilarious that Seb Hines played Marta for like 80 minutes. Last season was an incredible season for Marta, but still in that Orlando team, she was getting like halves. She was playing 45s, 50s when needed, but when they were crushing, they'd pull Marta and save her for the next game and respect her body and everything like that.
Mhm.
Not this game, they were like, "Murder them." And I
Uh,
was just like, What are we doing here, guys?" Just setting a good tone, I suppose, but
yeah, I know. I
I
was like, they're
I
already
got a
dead.
kick out of that. Mhm.
They're already stop. They're already dead. So Orlando, I mean, I think yeah. What can you say more than like putting 6 goals on an NWSL team, which it doesn't happen a lot in this
Yeah,
league. Like,
yeah.
even when we're talking about the best teams and the teams that might end up at the bottom table, usually it's pretty competitive still.
And
Um,
I don't really expect Chicago to just go down with the ship. It was a really bad game, but they also started against Orlando. It was gonna be
yeah.
horrible. So do I think they're gonna be in a playoff contention spot? No, but I don't think they're gonna be as bad as they looked week in 1.
I'm not sure, and we'll transition fully now in Chicago. Like, I feel like they are. I just don't know, like
Are
the
you
people
are
that had
you
on.
go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, ask me.
Are you ready for my counterpoint already, though? Just say
Maybe.
yes.
Yes, I am.
Sam Staub is back. Sam
Okay, yes,
Staub
yes,
came
yes, yes,
back.
yes, yes.
Sam Staub, what an incredible turnaround from an ACL injury. She subbed in, she was running. That's all I needed to see from Sam Staub because
We
it
just need to
wasn't
see her running.
it wasn't gonna be soccer against Orlando when they were already down, I think, 5 at that point.
Yeah.
Sam Staub's back. That is a legit great NWSL defender and a leader for that team and somebody Nair can count on. I mean, she was completely left out to dry prior to that. So, is
Yeah.
Sam Staub gonna save the season? No, but they're getting a piece of the puzzle that was desperately needed.
Yeah. I think they're missing like every other piece though. So it's just like, yeah, maybe she'll stop like 2 of those goals maybe from happening. I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence, and it's just like a bleak like outfit. Just what they've done with the branding. Like, there's just no vision, it seems like, even from this new ownership. Like, they don't seem to have a lot of ambition. I know it's like really hard with Mallory Swanson out, and we don't know exactly what's going on there, and we hope that everything is okay and she returns when she's ready. But it's like, okay, I'm not sure who's
No,
gonna score for them
we
in
played
the
we
meantime.
we played a fun game in our Discord, during during the Orlando-Chicago game, and it was just asking everybody what they thought the score would be if Swanson was in. I was settling on 6-2. I think Mao could have pulled off 2,
I
but
don't yeah,
nothing else.
no, I don't think
No,
they would have scored. I don't think they would have scored at all.
Mao has that magic where she just does anything she wants, even with Chicago.
I suppose. I'm just
It's
I guess you know what? I'm not hot on them. Um,
who
yeah, I
cares?
think they're
Let's
gonna
keep going.
be keep going. We don't need to spend more time on that bleak. I'm like, Alyssa, you should have retired, man. This is gonna suck.
It is
Um,
gonna suck for her if this is her final year. It's
oh
gonna be
my
bad.
god. So we hope that's not the case. Hopefully there's some redemption there. But moving on to the Washington Spirit. Um, I think that they've showed yet again, like they didn't have Trinity for most of the game. It wasn't their best performance, but they beat a Houston team that we'll talk about. Like, they looked pretty decent. Like they looked like they were having the better of the match. So for them to, have the depth that they do, pull out a victory, pull out the 3 points when it's not looking hot, like I think it speaks a lot about the team that they are and how they're going to fare this season, when they still have so many pieces to come back. What did you think?
I I was fully focused on Chloe Ricketts. I
Yeah, right.
love I love that she has enough that they have enough faith in her to get a second start. I mean, if she's gonna be the Trinity backup, what an honor. I mean, what a badge of honor for her to wear at this age. I thought she was mean as hell out there. And I think that she scored the goal. I think they got that wrong. I thought
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
her shot was incredible. I'm glad Hatch had the instincts to finish even if they weren't calling it. But I think it was a Chloe Ricketts goal. I had a blast watching her out there. I thought she played really, really well compared to watching her the past 2 seasons. And yeah, I mean, Spirit are very injured, but we know who they are and we know who they're gonna be when players come back out. Has there been an update on how Hirschfeld at all? I haven't seen anything.
I forgot that she got injured.
Yeah, she got
I
it
haven't
it
been
looked like a twisted ankle, though. It didn't look like anything,
okay.
like, terrible.
There
So
were
if
2 games happening. I'm like, yeah, Hal did get hurt, didn't she?
I mean, if Hal's out for another week or so, let her rest. I don't care. It's early on. Um, I thought Tara looked a little rusty, but again, she's coming from her first real national team minutes. Maybe she's getting adjusted to, that that back and forth. Overall, I'm excited to see them play a top 4 team,
Yeah.
at this stage of where they're at, and I thought Trinity in her limited minutes looked incredible. I thought she looked healthy, I thought she looked fast, I thought she looked like old Trinity, so that was really encouraging to see because back injuries are scary.
Oh, yeah. I tweaked my back and I'm not running 90 minutes all over a soccer field.
No.
So, no, I agree. I'm excited and scared to see to see how they develop and like when they get everyone back, if they get everyone back. But yeah, and so we'll turn over to their opponent, the Houston Dash, who, look like a completely different team, from last season and the past few seasons. Like a team that actually had a game plan, maybe. Crazy. What a crazy concept. No longer a concept of a plan, but an actual plan. Um, featured, a lot of their new players, Danny Colaprico, Yasmin Ryan, Delaney Sheehan. Um, what did you think of this new look Houston Dash team?
I thought they were unlucky not to go away with a point.
Oh yeah.
I think that they really deserved it, and I'm excited to watch. I mean, that was the whole question from a national team perspective. Can Yaz carry an attack? Is she at that point where she can be that girl at a club? And I think the answer is yes. I would prefer her in a more central role, but if she is competing for national team minutes as a winger, she's going to want to show off what she can do out on the wing, and I think that that's admirable. Um yeah, I mean, I think Houston, they looked like mini North Carolina as the coach came from the Sean Nayhouse School of Soccer, and they're going to steal some points away this season from some meaningful teams. I believe that.
Yeah, I kind of think they'll do more than that. Like they already looked like, very competitive with, and as we said, like a little bit of a depleted Washington Spirit team. But you can see that like they were brave in what they were doing. Like, yeah, they conceded, but it's because they were trying to assert themselves. And like I'd much rather watch that, honestly, than, like a Chicago team
Yeah,
that
they were playing soccer. It
yeah.
was fun.
Yeah, it was interesting to see Yaz on, I think, the left side, which she's
Yeah.
typically played on the right, when she was with Gotham, filling in, that Midge absence. But yeah, I thought she did well. I'm excited to see, maybe when Diana Ordonez comes back and there's like a real centerpiece to that attack. Although Masai Bright, like I think both of them are really great options. I would be really excited if I was a Houston fan for this
Yeah,
season.
I thought Messiah was unlucky not to score. I thought she did some really good building, like
Yeah.
back to goal. I thought she looked really ball secure too, which is something you didn't see at Angel City.
Well, I mean, you didn't really see her at Angel City. That's another
Mm.
thing. I was like, it makes them look so silly. Like, just her playing that much here at Houston. Like, she looked like she did in Orlando. Like she
Mhm.
was a spark and she was active and she was confident. And like, you just didn't see her play really at all because she hardly played at all. Uh, what a missed opportunity.
It's truly.
Yeah, but I'm excited for Houston's future. Maybe I'll start liking them. I've always kind of like low key hated them, but now they
Do
have
you
players
like
that I like.
do you like their kits this year?
Oh, uh, mm, no, I described them on a recent pod as really bad homecoming dresses. You know what I mean? Like, don't you
Yes.
remember? Like, you're right. They're like the ones at Bergner's. They were like really the cheapish dresses. They just had that like weird pattern and the
The
colors.
multicolor, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, So I do like that teams are picking like different colors outside their colorway, but not so much the pattern for me on that one.
I mean, that game, the Houston versus Spirit game, it was kind of the annoying kit color. I mean, it was the highlighters versus space. You certainly could tell who everybody was.
You
They
could
were
tell
so
who was who. I kind of am coming out as I'm a closeted fan of the
of the
the kit
highlighter.
of the highlighter kit. Well, you know what? Like I think it's the accent colors that offset it that make me think it's okay.
That green is nice.
I do like that green a lot, so I think that's what to me is like saving it. So I'm coming out as a fan of at least the green part. Um,
Hey, Trinity and Croy look great in it. I feel like they designed it for their stars, and if that's what they did, all the credit to you because they look
yeah,
great in it.
yeah. Moving on to Kansas City Current, another team that put on quite the offensive display, at least in the first half, which made me feel like this was kind of a classic Kansas City performance from last year because I think the hallmark of them is like they can be so dominant and so dangerous and threatening when everything is clicking. They're going at all cylinders, but it always feels like at some point, and not every match, but it always feels like at some point that kind of they take a step back and they're like, okay, we don't need to go full throttle. And like that's okay, but I think their best defense is them attacking. So whenever that happens, it's a little bit complacent and things got like pretty subdued, I think, in the second half. They allowed Portland to get one back. even though, that first half, the scoreline doesn't really tell the story 3-1. Like they could have had so many more in that first half. But I think that's kind of what played Kansas City last year, kind of allowed teams to get back into games in their later stage of the season. They started dropping points more. And I'm wondering if that's something they're going to be able to grow out of this season when they're working on it. Or I think that's kind of a theme watching the games, that like a lot of the teams have the same problems they did last season. And that's what I'm just kind of thinking about Kansas City. Can they grow out of it?
I hope so. I have faith. I mean, they have a new starting goalie, and last year when things started to turn, it was when center back Robinson got hurt,
Yeah.
and they didn't bring in Alana Cook for quite some time afterwards. So we have Alana, who I'm weary on, but yeah, I mean, I just think Kansas City has such insane attacking depth that they're gonna remain in the top 4. In what order that is, I'm not sure yet, but they're just stacked, and they showed plenty of rust in game 1, but even with all of that rust, sparks of magic, um, all over the field. I mean, I thought it was a really, really fun game from a Kansas City perspective, but this is a matchup that I used to look forward to so much, and it's just not that classic game anymore. Portland is so sad.
Yeah.
It bummed me out. It bummed me out. But I thought Hutton had that tackle on Sam Coffey that I got a big kick out of. A big, I'm coming for you, number 6 for the U.S. national team. I hated how Olivia Moultrie was deployed in this game.
Mm.
I think she's far too talented to be played out of position for Jessie Fleming. Um, so I was frustrated watching, but I mean, I'm all for a Michelle Cooper banger. It
Oh,
it it brought me back.
that was sick. I was like, for a while, I mean, last year she kind of showed up, but like that first season was so rough, I think, for her, like just trying to find her feet in the league. And to see her like really coming into her own now is so cool. And that goal was so sick.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, Portland, poor Portland. You can't feel too bad for them because for such a long time they were blessed in this league. They year after year making the playoffs. They were always a threat to win the Shield, threat to win the championship. So at some point, the cycle it begins again. You kind of have to go through it,
Yeah.
and boy, but it makes you angry. Actually, the way it makes you angry because you look at that back line that they put out, and it's kind of like, how are you even putting them out there? Like, so young, pretty inexperienced together.
For sure.
And then you think about, and they looked it, not just that they are, but they looked terrible. Um, and you think about how they didn't re-sign Kelly Hubley, and you're like,
Mhm.
well, what the hell is that? And you think how Megan Klingenberg not re-signed pretty unceremoniously, just like pushed out to pasture. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that she would start or play a ton of minutes, but don't you think it would be nice to have a veteran, especially two veterans who they were with the team when, Portland, they were setting the standard in the league?
Yeah.
Like that goes a long way, I think, especially for these young players who, maybe they have a lot of talent, but obviously they're so green. And it just like it really boggles the mind because they have so many injuries anyway. It's like, who are you holding those spots open for?
Yeah.
It
I
just
I was confused by the whole thing. I was
very
confused by the
confused.
bench. I mean, I have very little hope for Portland right now.
No, like Rob Gale, I made the prediction that he'll be the first fired, and I feel pretty secure in that today.
I'd double
Um,
down. I'd double down on
yeah,
that one.
I'm going all in on that bet. And then like Sam Hyatt, like l- I thought she did really well for Gotham when she was needed last season. And she's sitting there with the most experience in the NWSL of that back line, just sitting out on the bench. Like, I don't know. I think she could have provided at least a little bit of a steady hand, or when you go down 1-0, she could at least gather them together and say, okay, like, you know, oh God.
No,
Uh,
Sam Hyatt would be starting every game for me with that Portland roster right
yeah,
now. It made
yeah,
no sense.
it doesn't make any sense. And I think I think you saw in the second half that, like, they have the players, I think, necessary to compete in most games. It's just like, are they the players who are being put on the pitch? Are they being put in a place to be successful? I think they'll have a really hard time winning a lot of games. They might tie a lot of games, but I just don't see how they're going to win, score goals, and keep clean sheets.
I don't know how you get the Sophia Wilson news and not decide to give meaningful minutes to your backup strikers.
Yeah,
Turner is a good striker, and she was just sitting there. Pietra
yeah,
Torden, a rookie, I understand not starting, but her history at Princeton, why you scouted her, and her run out at the U20 World Cup should have at least showed you that, yeah, she can get a half against Kansas City. She's at least ready for that. I have faith in. So their inability to play, dynamic strikers when your superstar is going to be out all year, I don't know what you're doing.
nope. Mm, they're headed in a rough way. Um, our next team, the Utah Royals. A nice goal in this game. Amanda McGlynn goalkeeper assist. What did you think of Utah?
I think Utah is going to be really good this year. I thought they showed plenty of rust, but I think Utah is going to be good this year. I was a big fan of this game. I thought it was competitive and evenly stacked against two teams in their sophomore year, but still two teams that have invested, and it showed there were good players out there. There was good soccer. Again, it was weekend one rust, but I believe both of these teams are gonna do a lot of good this season.
Yeah, I with Utah, I agree. And then on the flip side of that, Bay FC. For me, I do kind of expect maybe a little bit more from them. Just with like they haven't changed a lot from last season, right? The attack too. I think Oshwala and Kundananji like probably need a bit more from them.
Well, that's
Um,
that's my favorite joke. I mean, last season Utah beat Bay each time, and I said, "Ally Sintner can beat $1 million team." It's
right.
I mean,
This is true.
so Bay has the flashy international signings. They haven't exactly clicked yet, but they're worlds better than where they were at the beginning of last season, I think.
This is true. The goalkeeper situation there is interesting. That they didn't really go out for someone established, but and we'll see. Also, I'm a founding member of the Kiki Pickett Hive, so I was so stoked to see her score and her celebration. I was all
It
about that.
it was it was I have 2 goals of the week, and I've been going back and forth, but let me just say Kiki is one of them.
Okay. I wonder which one the other one was. Uh,
Suspense!
who could say? Okay. Moving on then to Racing Louisville. I feel like what year are they in the league? Is this their 6th year, 7th year? It's crazy if it would
6
be 7, 6th year, right?
6
It's
sounds
kind of
right. I'm not positive, though.
the way that time moves, you know? Wow. Anyway, I feel like every year I see their squad on paper and I'm like, that's a team that I don't really want to play. Like, that's kind of like, that's a team that they're always going to find a way to get a result, I think. the bad thing for them is I think most of those results are draws and not wins. And I think, like, in this game as well, you saw they were able to score, and I think they were playing a really good game for the first half, when North Carolina was still, like, figuring their shit out. But they always seem to, like, let up. They don't play a full 90 minutes. They have really a hard time of, like, executing an entire game plan, and I just wonder, like, seeing that again, like I said, the problems the problems are repeating, and that's a little problematic to me because that team too, like, they didn't have a lot of turnover other
Mm-mm.
than, Abby Ursig, departing, like, that is a big piece, but that team, that core has kind of been around together for a long time now, a few years, so you'd kind of think, like, now is the time that that's gonna start to click and things are going to, like, move forward and progress.
And I think it would have been a much different game if Bethany Balther wasn't hurt. I'm a big Balser fan for the league. I think she just always finds a way to score. She has a bit of Lynn Biondolo in her, where you can question what's going on the field, and then the second you say something negative, she scores, and you got egg on your face.
I would
But
never say anything negative about Lynn.
okay, Gotham. But yeah, I think it would have been a different game with Bethany out there. I also think racing at home is an extremely difficult place to play. It was last year, you
Even
saw
when
that
no one was
often.
there.
Yeah, it has absolutely nothing to do with the crowd. I just think it's a hard place for teams to go and play at. I don't have an answer for why that is.
I
It
think it's
just
because that's where Kristen Press tore her ACL, and now it's haunted.
ghosts, ACL
The
ghosts
ACL
are
gross,
just linked.
everyone's like, "Oh, they're lurking." Oh, no.
Well, I mean, I'm fully bought into that now. Until Coven Boston Coven comes and, does whatever they need to do to wipe that clean. Witch jokes. I can't wait to start making witch jokes when Boston finally
Yeah,
enters the
it's
league.
actually they're gonna be the Coven. We've decided.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I thought racing looked like racing. They were very aggressive. I thought Taylor Flint looked good out there.
Oh, she almost scored that, oof, hit rattled the post, didn't it?
Mhm. And I thought Emma Sears had a spice to her I haven't seen a lot.
Hmm.
So if that's how Emma Sears is gonna come out in her sophomore season, I'm gonna watch every single minute of it because it was fun.
I might not watch every minute, but I'm excited for development too. On the flip side, North Carolina left a lot to be desired, I think. I think I had higher expectations for them just because, they are a perennial, like, performer in the league, a playoff team. Obviously, I mean, you can say no Caroline, but she didn't play a ton last season.
No.
So they honestly, that's not really an excuse. Um, I guess it will take some time. Jane Shaw, like, being at the heart of the midfield, it's probably gonna take a little bit of time to feel that out. And I think that they started to feel things out in that second half. Um, but I still, like, expected probably more.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I thought they were invisible for a lot of the game, and it's funny because I'm a huge North Carolina fan, and I feel like everybody watching that game was watching to see how Jaden and
Yeah.
Sanchez combined, and they just weren't interested. They weren't doing it.
He said,
It
"No,
was
thanks."
rain. It was rainy. It was probably cold. They were over it. So I'm gonna watch weekend 2 and see how they look, but I was thrilled for our little U20 Riley Jackson to get that goal.
Yeah, yeah. She looks great at the U20 World Cup, so that's exciting for her. And I think Monaco too looked really good and got,
She did.
like, way more involved in that second half. But yeah, hopefully Sanchez and Shaw, they, like, hang out and they're like "Oh, I thought you didn't like me. No, I thought you didn't like me. No, I like you. Yeah, let's hang out. Let's pass to each other." They'll figure that out
Yeah.
in week 2. Moving on to a game that I had to sit through in a way that I found unpleasant. Gotham. And let me tell you about this. I was at the Gotham watch party. They had a party or watch thing down at a downtown bar. And where I was sitting, so they had all these screens up, and then they put the commentary on speakers. But the commentary was like 20, 30 seconds ahead of.
Oh.
But the thing was is that most people in the room couldn't hear it, but I was sitting next to the speaker. So I heard exactly what was going on, the spoilers obviously. And every time there was a promising like run of play, everyone else in the room would be like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "No, they're not going to score. Nothing's going to happen." So, it wasn't exactly fun, and then obviously it was just a boring game. It was so boring. So, but I'll talk about Gotham a little bit. And like I said, this is a theme that's repeating. Gotham, struggled to score a lot last season. And you know what? What do you know? Struggled again. I think they were definitely better than Seattle, and I think that's what
Yeah.
hurts the most is that I'm like, okay, we're drawing a team that's like just fine. They're not good, like they're just fine. I don't think they played terribly, but they created hardly anything at all either. Um so to watch that, I'm just like, ugh, it's so hard with the front three. I think they're all too similar.
I
Um,
can see that totally.
and I think Ella plays like her being on the wing is not ideal to me. I think she is much more of a focal point when she's playing centrally, but then you have to make a decision, her or Astaire. And obviously pretty light-handed right now over at Gotham.
Mhm.
So you can't really drop either of them, and I wouldn't really want to. I think she probably could have Ella could have probably played a role in the midfield. He likes Astaire to play the 10 sometimes too. But yeah, just Ella being on the wing, she doesn't get as involved as much. And like I said, light-handed. I don't know when Midge is supposed to come back. She was obviously dropped off of SEI. But it's gonna be a process. Jessica
Yeah,
Silva.
what
Oh
is
my
the eye
gosh.
injury?
I think
What
well, this is what I can understand from Instagram Portuguese translation. It seems like she
wow.
was yeah, I know. I feel like it seemed like she was hit in the face with the ball during training
Okay.
and she lost vision in that eye. Um Went to the hospital and whatever test they did, apparently the retina is not fully detached or something, but it does require probably surgery, probably
Wow.
treatment. And she posted that it seems like she's going to have to take like an indefinite break until that's resolved. And obviously, like when your vision is affected, like you can't be going out into a game that risks getting hit in the head more. So it seems like I don't know. Her contract with us too is only through the summer, so I'm not sure if we'll see her feature. I mean,
That's
I
horrible.
for the like all best wishes to Jessica Silva because that's scary. Number one, so
Yeah.
scary. And I hope everything recovers. But we're light-handed.
I was I was really on rookie watch this game.
Yes,
You're g
actually, that's the silver lining for me.
you're gonna have to tell me her last name,
Sarah
Sarah.
Shapansky.
I thought she looked like the best player on the field. I thought she was dynamic as hell. I thought she was feisty. I just think I was really, really impressed with her, and, I mean, she's somebody that I'm now going to keep track of just because I thought she was a blast to watch. And then from a Seattle perspective, they just had such a bad year last year. I was curious what Laura Harvey was gonna do, and I'm tickled by the Lynn transfer and her U20 babies. It's Lynn just mentoring our youth national team, basically. Maddie Darlene, track star, national champion at UNC, had a great, youth national team camp this past year. So I was intrigued to see her get the start. wasn't blown away by anything, but somebody who I think is proven to be ready for the NWSL is Jordan Bugg at center back. I thought she looked fantastic. She had a few great recovery runs, with Esther, which is no small feature. I thought both teams looked plenty rusty for weekend 1, but yeah, I don't think they're gonna be as bad as they were last year in terms of Seattle.
Yeah. Hopefully Gotham business. Yeah, I think when Rose and Midge come back, it's a whole different situation. But yeah, Seattle, it's kind of like a big question mark until probably Lynn joins and you see what that's like.
Mhm.
But they were, I mean, they didn't look awful. Like it's not like they looked like Portland or Chicago or something. And I
No.
kind of thought that they were gonna look awful. So, you know, kudos to them. We're gonna move on to the final match of the weekend, final teams. Angel City, in a word, mess. Just total mess. At least in that first half. I'm just like, dude, like this rotating midfield, constant rotation of like players in and out the revolving door. It's like, yeah, I guess you got rid of Rocky Rodriguez for what? You brought in Katie Zellum and she didn't start. You started Alana Kennedy, which I'm still wrapping my head around. That's so crazy to me.
Dude, Alana Kennedy looked bad. Looked
Bad.
real bad.
On that goal, like she was like just a jog in the back.
No, I mean, when I was watching, everybody was trying to pin it on the back four, and I was like, "I don't know, guys. I think that was Alana
I
Kennedy."
think there was a big gaping hole where a central defensive midfielder should have been.
And, I mean, the story for Angel City is that they didn't lose. They found a way to not lose.
True.
It was accidentally good at points, which is just I feel like classic Angel City. They definitely weren't trying to do that.
Yeah.
So San Diego Wave, by far the better team, but Angel City created more chances. They created better chances, and they just, uh, I mean, both teams could have had more goals. I thought it was oddly one of the more entertaining games of the weekend,
Well,
and I
sometimes
was
the
going
train wreck is like that.
I was going into it thinking that this was just gonna suck, and I enjoyed more than I didn't.
Yeah, Angel City, I think it's just gonna be more the same as years prior. Like they come back and they're like, no, we're totally different this season. Everything is
Mhm.
better and good, and we're a totally different team. And it's just same shit, different day. San Diego, I think a lot of people were impressed by how uh organized and like well drilled they were in what they were doing in the press. And I mean, I've been saying like, Jonas, like he's a good coach, I think he's a good
Yeah,
coach. And I think actually that roster that they have is deceivingly pretty good. Like I think a lot of people are like, obviously Naomi Gurma leaves, like huge. You
sound the
can't
alarms, yeah.
yeah, like that is someone you can't replace. Alex Morgan, you know, a an icon and a legend and the moment at one point,
Mhm.
not there anymore. So it is a totally new team because those were two players who like that was kind of their identity. Jaden Shaw as well. They were the wave and now it's a whole different unit. But I think Kenzie Ali really good in that match.
Mhm.
Some of the players that I wasn't familiar with played really well. So I think that they're going to be pretty competitive, like, and they might upset some teams with, you know. Uh-oh.
No, no, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I thought you had something else. Something that something that I wasn't expecting that I was pleasantly surprised by was Kaylin Sheridan looked like herself again. Last year,
Mm,
she was having some fumbles, and
she really did.
and this game, she had some great saves again. I mean, she looked like the Kaylin Sheridan I was familiar with from watching the Canadian women's national team, where she gets those big hero saves. So I think that's gonna play a big role. And then, like you said, their depth is better than expected. I love me some Mel B, and she was a fun child to watch last year. And
That's an interesting phrase. She
right,
was a fun
like
child to watch.
it wasn't like I was watching a
Yeah,
grown soccer player.
yeah.
Uh, Her subbing in, I think she came in around like the 75th minute or something. Not a huge chunk of time, but when she came into that game, it was more than just a fun child. She was dominating their attack. What happened came from her, and she had a few good chances all on her own as well. And I think that that's gonna be really intriguing to see if this off season was that much development for her, because she took ownership of the game in a way that I haven't seen her do before. So, that was a blast to see. I wish I could have seen more Trinity Armstrong. She is a center back that US fans are going to be very familiar with in the next few years. She's incredibly talented, highly, highly sought after, so that was a big signing for them. And then I'm gonna be on other Trinity watch for San Diego, seeing when Trinity Byers comes back from her season-ending injury last year at
Right.
Texas.
Hashtag other Trinity.
Yeah, we have the Trinity of Trinities this year in the league.
Oh, wow.
At some point, we're getting Armstrong, Byers, and Rodman on the field together, and
Wow.
listen, it's gonna be like Christmas for me.
Wow. I hope we get that. Okay. That was the weekend. That was a fun weekend, and I hope next weekend has just the same in store. Moving on now to my favorite segment, sending off. This is a spot in the show where we get to show the symbolic red card, send off something in soccer culture, soccer discourse. Maybe it's something that happened in a game that pissed you off, and you said, no more. We need to send that off. You go first, Tara.
Okay, this week, I'm sending off Rob Gale as a person. And, I don't wanna be accused of being hyperbolic. I'm sure he's a nice man, but Rob Gale has made me too angry. I'm not an angry person. He is doing such a disservice to Portland. He's doing such a disservice to the entire city. When you watch Portland Thorns games, that crowd always comes out for their team. It's such a fun environment. Their team has lots of players that are worthy and good and deserve a coach that knows what he's doing or she's doing. And Rob Gale is not it. Rob Gale has shown that he is not it. Last year, Rob Gale cannot even put out a lineup. He was horrible. And anybody who's acting like this was the automatic outcome with the Sophia news,
And then Morgan Weaver, et cetera, et cetera. But yes.
have a little faith in their other players. Portland deserves better. The city deserves better. The fans deserve better. Rob Gale, get out of here. Go. Resign. Don't put us through this anymore. I'm horrified. I'm horrified. I just I can't do it with this man. I think NWSL fans deserve better.
Yes.
Like, I'm not some Portland Thorns fan. I just watch the league to keep track on my national team girls, my youth national team girls, watch the development in the country. I like doing that. But to see what he has done in his 2 years on and off as the coach has been horrible. Rob Gale, sending you out.
Wow. Standing up for the city of Portland and the fans of the NWSL. That was good. We had something similar in mind. Because I too am sending off a man who's coaching temporarily. And you'll say, Sam lady, I'm sending you up. Number one, how dare you How dare you deprive us of minutes watching Kristen Press play soccer? I just she spent 2 years injured watching home openers that she could not take part in. She is healthy. She's in the squad. She played preseason games. She ended last season, I feel, with a good momentum. That goal, and for her not to get any minutes in this game where, let's be real, like what else was happening? Alyssa Thompson was looking really good, but who else? You had a bunch of rookies out there. Like, I think Kristen Press could have maybe done a job for you. Sam Lady said the game was too transitional at that point, so he didn't want to put Kristen in. I'm sorry, but if she's on the bench, she should be ready for any kind of game. Also, this is the NWSL. What other games are there other than transitional? I just don't understand. It offends me personally. It really pissed me off because I'm only really watching Angel City to see Press play soccer again. We missed her for so long. Like, I just Sam Lady, you're gonna leave Angel City soon, but it's got to be now because I can't deal sending you off. Red card.
And I mean, his comments were a big red flag for me. It was too transitional. Does that mean she can't run? Like, what's going on?
I've seen her run. I've seen it with my
Mhm.
eyes, and you know how excited she was for this. She was
The
posting about
post wa
it.
the
Ugh,
post was adorable.
CP, like, you deserve better, and we deserve to watch you play. I mean, that's I'd have her starting. I don't care. I just want to watch her. That's the only reason I'm watching Angel City. Really, I just want to
And
watch her
listen,
play.
if Alyssa Thompson credits her success from going to the Kristen Press School of Shooting, I wanna see Alyssa Thompson with Kristen Press on the field. I wanna see what that looks like. Kristen Press has been one of my favorite national teamers since I was a kid. Like, and to see, the passing of the torch in real time, it would be meaningful for anybody. Yeah, I completely agree with yours. I thought it was gross. But I mean, like, to take it a step further, if if you're not putting Kristen Press out, why aren't you putting Casey Fair out either? Like, what's going on?
I don't know. It's a conspiracy at this point. I really think it is. Um, I hope next week we see Kristen Press play. Otherwise, I'm gonna organize some kind of protest and demonstration
Angel
because
City goes to Portland, right?
I
I think so.
have no idea, but maybe. And if they
Listen,
do,
Kristen Press against that Portland backline is gonna be fun to watch.
I mean, my fingers are crossed. All right, Tara, thank you so much for coming on. This was so much fun.
Thank you. I had a blast. Chatted my little heart out. So,
Oh,
thank you for having me. I can't wait for weekend 2.
yeah. Thanks, everyone. Be sure to subscribe, rate, review. I'd really appreciate it. And enjoy this next weekend of soccer. Bye.